Hi guys, welcome back. As part of the KBA's MaarghaDarshana webinar series, today we're going to be talking about how to assimilate into college life. We'll touch on everything you might be curious about when entering your freshman year. My name is Hithaishi Chandra, and I'm a rising junior at Rutgers University majoring in finance.
Hi guys, I'm Shrujal Shekar, and I'm a rising sophomore at Rutgers University majoring in aerospace engineering.
Hi guys, I'm Shreya Shekar and I'm a rising sophomore at Rutgers University majoring in biomedical engineering.
This episode is brought to you by the New Jersey Career Buzz.
So let's start with talking about choosing your major. And how does one decide what to study? What were some things you would consider when trying to decide what you want to do in college?
Honestly, I just went with aerospace engineering because I had an interest in flight and like space and stuff like that.
For me, I always wanted to be a part of the medical industry, but honestly, at one point I was like, that's too much in school. So I was like, what is something I can do that's similar to being a doctor, but that's more industry based and I could accomplish that in maybe half the time. So based on that, I wanted to choose something that will keep me on that track. And biomedical engineering is something I came across because it's both STEM. I can graduate in 4 years or with a master's and still go to industry and be actively a part of that environment. And biomedical engineering was a great pre-med major because by the end of it, if I really liked going into industry, I could just resume my career like that. But if not, I really wanted to go to medical school and that spark still stayed alive, I would take a turn there and it'd give me a good background and also like a boost for applying to medical schools because being is considered a pre-med major. So that was kind of the reason why I chose biomedical engineering.
So now there's two different scenarios here. Like Shrujal chose his majors because he had an interest in aerospace and flight and all of that. And then Shreya has a different cause for choosing her major. She wanted to include two things. Or like she wanted to include one thing that really resonated with her was something that could be faster to get through school. And for me, I chose it almost randomly. As someone who did computer science all through high school, a switch to finance was completely unexpected for both me and my parents. But the reason I did it is because I realized that computer science is not something that I wanted to do for the long time. And the reason I chose finance is because I thought the skill set you might need for computer science, like just critical thinking, logic, and all of that, can also be applied in the business areas. And I'm not completely over CS. I'm still doing a data science minor. But this just goes to show you that there's a lot of different ways that you can choose your major, and there's a lot of different things you should consider, including what you want to do, where your interests lie, and where you think your skills are best aligned with.
Choosing a major, it can take a lot of time. I think all of us practically, except for maybe Shrujal, we literally did not decide until when applying for colleges. And even so, many people choose at least top 3 or 2 when applying because a lot of them don't apply to the same major everywhere. They kind of weigh out options to see if that school is good for that major, have top 2 majors that, and then apply to that school where that major is predominant and they have better programs there. So there's a lot of things. And the engineering aspect for me came when I was exploring in high school. I took an intro to engineering and biomedical science, both intro classes, and I liked them both very much equally. So when I found a course or a major that kind of intersects, I was very excited to take it.
Yeah. And I also want to put a disclaimer out there that once you choose your major going into college, it does not mean you have to stick with it at all. Absolutely. There's so much leeway there, and it's so easy to switch majors. You have to be smart about it. Just make sure you're not going into 5-6 years of schooling just to complete your requirements. But you still have, I feel like you have 2 years ish before you have to fully lock in what your major is.
Yeah. I would say the right at the bat, just pick something that you're really passionate about because it's easier to kind of steer around because then you'll find the specifics of that field.
Yeah. And as you're going through your general education requirements and all the foundational classes, you'll get an idea of what you're actually good at and where you might want to go instead of what you first chose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there's nothing holding you back. Like, let's say you go into engineering, like freshman year, but it's not really your forte. So you change it to something else. And if you don't like it, you can always change around, see where you're really interested, and then continue and pursue that major.
Mhm. So after you choose your major, you might want to think about adding in a minor or a concentration or maybe even a double major. But Do you guys have any thoughts about that?
So this is obviously not something you would think about as of right now. I mean, some people do declare their majors and minors at the same time. It's very common. But I think for the rest of the three of us, I don't think we had a minor in mind. We weren't really sure of our majors. Minor was another whole story. But yeah, minors are not something you have to declare in the beginning. You have for a lot of majors and colleges, it's sophomore year, I think, and then junior. Like you have those two as you go along fun courses. You'll be able to declare that once you find your interests. So how would you guys go about choosing minors?
I feel like there are like 2 to 3 different ways I've seen people go about choosing minors. One really common thing is to choose something that aligns with your major, something that complements your major. So if you're doing CS, having a data science minor or like a data science double major is really common. If you're doing something like finance, having again CS or even like business analytics as your concentration or minor is also really common. But if you want to branch out, I feel like having a minor in something more artsy or something more in like literature or something so different from your major is also a good way to just hatch out. Is that a word?
Yeah.
It's also a good way to broaden your horizons a little bit and explore something that's you're interested in that maybe you don't want to pursue as a career, but you can still take some classes and have fun with it.
Yeah, and then like you said about kind of branching out, I have a friend who's in a school of engineering, and she is doing a psychology minor, even though she's doing chemical engineering. They might kind of seem like completely drastic, but you never know how those skills might be applied to your positions or your jobs. And sometimes people don't even like go to the jobs they majored in. They would go to a minor. Like a lot of law and psychology majors into that. Some people go into HR positions in many companies. There is always some aspects you can incorporate, and you learn a lot of things from your minors as well. So it's not completely something irrelevant or like something that you can disregard.
There are also instances where sometimes when you're taking your major classes, your foundational classes just build into a certain major or
Certain minor.
yeah, they just build into a certain minor. So, for example, someone who's taking like econ classes, like I've taken a bunch of econ classes, and I could so easily just get like a quantitative econ minor just from those classes, and then maybe taking 1 or 2 more. So sometimes it's just convenience of like what classes you're taking can just give you a free minor.
Yeah, and like a lot of CS and school of engineering students, they do so much math that a math minor is so easy to us, like 1 or 2 classes, and we get another like certified thing to add to our degree. So like, why not? So that's another way you can add to your degrees.
So, are you guys planning on adding a minor or concentration?
Honestly, yeah, I would say there is a technical benefit for a minor. As an aerospace engineering, I have to take Calc 1 to Calc 5, which is just a lot of math. So I can benefit from that, and I need to get technical electives for my major. So when I take a math minor, for example, I'd be completing a technical elective requirement as well as getting a minor with all these classes I've already taken.
Right, so that's just an example of how convenience and what course that you're taking can just give you a free minor, basically.
And for me, I just wanted something like that aligns with my major because mine's biomedical engineering, which is already a broad major. I feel like if I took a minor that kind of specifies my role, I was thinking to do neuroscience so I can focus on the brain or that aspect of like medicine to kind of put my engineering skills to play.
Right. And for me, I'm choosing data science as a minor, which might not seem like it's too related to business, but someone with a CS background, as I am, I feel like it's an obvious way to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to something I feel everyone's always excited about is dorming, picking where you live, what it's like living on campus, and what it might be like if you can't live on campus and how that could go. So I lived on campus both my first 2 years. I was in a dorm freshman year, and then my sophomore year I lived off campus in a house. And Shrujal and Shreya.
We commuted.
So to start off, let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons about dorming versus commuting. So what do you guys think is the best thing about commuting?
Commuting is that you can go home, it feels like home, and the food is not a problem.
The best thing was, like, I could go home, I could stay home, have hot showers that was one of these issues that many of my friends complained about is, yeah.
Having my own room. my own stuff.
Yeah. Sharing a restroom, a communal restroom.
Not having to haul your bathroom things 20 feet down the hallway to go to a stall to shower. Yeah.
Kind of having that privacy in a way.
And you always had the comfort and your support of your family right there with you every single day.
Yeah. The pros.
The cons, however, is that you're not really that active within the community. Or you're just missing out on a bunch of stuff.
I mean, I feel like you can be active as a commuter too. That's not an issue. Don't be under the misconception that you would not be active if you're a commuter. It depends on you. Like for us, we had a lot of classes and it went on to like really late, maybe 6 or something. So and most clubs start around that time. So we were really tired. As a commuter, we commute. Even though I commute like 10 to 15 minutes, it felt like so much to me. So then I would just want to come home, even though I tried my hardest to stay later. So like commuting kind of pulls you like back home in a way. So that kind of made me feel like I did miss out on a lot of stuff. But other than that, it wasn't bad. I think personally I'm just a homebody. So that's one of the cons in my opinion. But there are so many commuters that I know that are very active and they're like a lot of e-board members and like in positions where you are leading the clubs and everything.
And I think that kind of pulls into my pros about living on campus because I remember freshman year, I was out of the dorm every single day and I never worried about when do I have to go home? Like what time would my parents expect me to come home for like dinner or like what time should I be back just so I don't get in trouble with my mom? But for me, living on campus was just such a good way to get used to everything and it felt like for the first time you're like free, but also there's a lot of responsibility with it because, there's nobody telling you that, okay, go eat now or like go to bed now. You kind of have to, yeah, you have to take care of yourself and you have to figure it out all by yourself. But talking about like extracurriculars and like clubs and any school events, it's so easy to just leave your room, just go down the road to something that's happening. I remember like I had classes in the mornings at like 8:30 and then I wouldn't come home until like 11 p.m., 12 a.m. at night because of just like clubs, because clubs just go that
Yeah,
far.
they actually do go that late. It's not making excuses at all.
They generally do. Sometimes I've come home at like 2 a.m. Because of clubs sometimes. But it just makes things a lot easier when you don't have to be driving back home and you don't have people waiting on you there.
That's true.
I feel like that's one of the biggest pros. And I think another one is that it's, at least this is what I felt based off of my commuter friends and also people who lives on campus. But living on campus is a great way to make friends. And I think it's a lot easier also because when you're a commuter, most of your friends are commuters.
That is
And
very true.
it's because it's just like a shared common like thing because now you both have the same thing to complain about or like the same type of situation that you're living in. But when you're living on campus, I feel like I have a good mix of commuter friends and just people who live on campus because you see commuter friends like in classes, but then when you're on campus you have dinner with them, you have all your meals, you just in each other's dorms all the time, and it feels like a second home.
Yeah, and I feel like even though there's a lot of good spaces in colleges to study or hang out or even have dinner, which is not, I wouldn't say it's like like the biggest drawback because you can honestly make that work as a commuter too. But it's just like you said, it's something we have to make it work and kind of find time for it. Whereas a dorm person, it just happens organically.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's just so easy to make your first friend group just with like your neighbors or like who's living around you.
exactly.
Versus when you're a commuter, I feel like you really have to put yourself out there a lot more.
I, as a commuter, would want to recommend. I would honestly want to live on campus and dorm at least the first year because it's really gonna get college into your roots and
Yeah.
make you get like used to everything so much easier. Makes you independent and all your classes you'll find more help. That's another thing. Like we have so many resources on campus. If you're stuck on a homework problem at home, you're gonna be like, what do I do? Okay, I can call a friend or something. But if you're on campus, there's so many tutors and peer help, like peer help tutors and like actual professors that you can reach out to like right away on campus.
Not that you can't do that as a commuter, it's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier. Yeah, you can just like, hey, like I need help, and like look at the availabilities and just go in person.
But yeah, just as Shreya was saying, dorming your first year is probably my recommendation as Trish. I know there's a lot of colleges who require you to dorm as well. Like your first year, it's just you have to. It's mandatory. If you're having trouble with your parents letting you dorm or whatnot, just like go to one of those colleges. Now they have to. You have to dorm.
That's a really good point. I was low-key jealous of those kind of colleges, but for me, I moved so I don't have to dorm because I am a twin. I feel like there's a lot of financial,
Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's another thing. Adding dorming into your tuition literally doubles it,
literally double very.
which is crazy. But with dorming comes you have to get like a meal plan and like diet planners and all of that. And those are also expensive.
So then that's another aspect. I feel like your overall cost of living is gonna go down.
Yeah, commuting is definitely a lot cheaper. And they talked about food. Food at school, it's just horrible. It's just horrible. Like I would never say that it's a pro, but
Yeah, well, that kind of reminds me. I feel like you once told me that your parents asked you, "Do you want a car or do you want to live on campus?"
oh yeah, they did. They gave me like an ultimatum. They were like, "Oh, we'll get you a new car if you want to commute, or you can live on campus." And they've been doing this like every single year. My dad literally like last month was like, "Oh, I can get a Tesla if we're gonna commute." But I chose to dorm, and I feel bad for my dad. I think he really wanted like a new car, but I'm glad that I chose to dorm. And I'm living on campus like apartments this year as well, so probably no car. But next year, senior year, I'm gonna commute, so car.
Car.
We're gonna talk a little bit about financial aid, scholarships, and how work study could work. I don't have a lot of experience with this, so sure and Shujal, take it away.
And do you want to say why you don't have experience with it? Just so.
Oh, it's because I am considered an international student, so I'm on a visa, and so I am not eligible for any federal aid. I'm not eligible for work study, and a lot of the scholarships that are offered within the US are also for permanent residents, green card holders, citizens, all of that. So I'm paying out of pocket for everything.
Yeah. But also keep in mind there are some scholarships that are available for international students.
There it's far and few in between, but if you really put your mind to it, you can find some.
Probably. But yeah, for us, we had the baseline FAFSA, but however, I don't know if I should mention this is like politically controversial that we probably not have FAFSA aid as much in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just ignore that. But I mean, for now at least, we had FAFSA, and hopefully you guys still do by the time, a bunch of you are applying. But yeah, that's like the federal aid that you apply to for subsidized and unsubsidized loans. That's obviously for us, we were green card holders, so that's something we got of. But honestly, we did not get that much. I think the baseline would be like 5,500
Yeah.
for each person, right? And this is for each year total. And we have to reapply every year. So another way is, I think,
Work study, it's a great way of networking and just working, getting that spare money, use it whenever, right? Usually it's every semester it's like 1,000 or
it was 2,000 for our entire year. I think Shreya and I both did it, and it's a great opportunity because I also work. Shreya and I both work in the chemical department. We work as office assistants, and we get to handle all the professors' mail and everything, and we see professors on a daily basis. So I could like, I don't know, kind of go up to them and be like, "Hey, I read about your research you're doing. That sounds really interesting. Is there any openings for me to join? I would love to contribute to your research." So that's another great way of networking. And my boss, I would say, but like the program coordinators I'm working for, they also have a leverage on this, and they're under assistant professors most likely, and they always have some like resources you can use because you're representing that department.
So then how do you choose this? Like, is it assigned to you? Do you get to choose what you want to do?
so you do get assigned through the
Application
student.
process.
If you want to change it, you can always go to One Stop, which is a student service
That's like
service workers. So the student service people, you just send them an email saying, "Hey, I wanted to change my job." If you don't really like it or they don't have availability,
And it is like a application process. Like they actually ask about your experiences and what you would be willing to work with and everything. So you can possibly be placed in a lab where you can work with rats or something, and you get paid. Like the hourly pay is different, and they might pay you more.
So that's always an option if you're ever in a financial crunch. I think for international students, it's a little different. I know, again, you can't really do any of this stuff. I think some student visas let you get jobs here. Most of them do require sponsorship, so I don't know how you would be able to. That's like research you gotta do, and it really depends on like what visa you're on and all of that.
But yeah, I think scholarships is another main thing. Scholarships are something that like your colleges or Rutgers offers. Like you have need based. If you really are in a crunch and you need it, you can always appeal for it. And there's also like scholar based on your GPA or like high school experience. They do award those merit based scholarships. But also you can find a lot of them online. There's like there's a minority ones.
Oh yeah, like on like niche or like gauge.
Yeah, and those scholarships are legit. Like they would actually help out. If you need it, I recommend applying to as many as you can. And they're not really hard applications.
There's a lot of no essay ones too. All you have to do is just apply, and it's like a luck of the draw, but you never know.
There's also some like state-based scholarship
Oh yeah.
that are really helpful.
They base NARA scholarship
Yes.
and all of that. You really just have to do your research on all of that.
And you have part-time jobs after you.
Oh yeah, like outside school and all.
hmm
And the last thing we're gonna touch on is orientation, moving in, and first day experiences. Rutgers specifically has a 2-day orientation that you take this summer before your freshman year. You get to live on campus. They take you through a lot of these like activities and slideshows and all of that. It's fun and boring sometimes, but you get to meet new people. I made a few friends that I'm still friends with during orientation. How was your guys' orientation?
For sure. It was really fun. I want to say I was scared about how college is gonna be, but like my first 2 days were literally bomb. I know. And this is probably something that I should mention, but we had then like we have night orientation too, right? So you stay overnight. Yeah, that just comes something that's mandatory, but you can leave if you're really close to like your community. But we did stay overnight, and it was really fun. You get to like talk to people. We live in like a suite, so it's like 6-person suite. So I made friends with all of them, and we actually surprisingly got really close. They have team building activities they do because you look in a cohort of like under the same majors. I think the same school of engineering.
Yeah, this is like Rutgers specific. I don't know how the other schools do it.
Yeah.
But from our experience, they split you up based on like what school you're in, so, like business school, engineering school, or like school of sciences, whatever.
Yeah, and so you find people in the same major as you, or like other majors in the school of engineering. For me, just to this day, I'm still like very good friends with all of them, and we sign up for classes together. That's a really good thing because during our orientation is when you sign up for first year classes. Yeah, and so if you get close enough to them, you can sign up for same slots if you had not already planned something out. That's something I personally did, and it was very fun. I had them in all my classes, and we still plan classes for the next years and upcoming years. So these are the same people that are as scared as you. So you keep that in mind that everything's new to them. So it's gonna be very innocent. It's gonna be very fun to kind of meet these people because everyone's really friendly, and then they're also like really open. So everyone's kind of getting to know each other, and it's a really fun environment.
Yeah.
So
You have anything to share?
Orientation was really fun for me. I got to explore Rutgers as it is. I got to know like the nooks and crannies of the campus. I got to know where the good places were to eat if I really needed to explore. It was really fun. I really met a lot of new people, a lot of new friends. Still friends today. But yeah, I guess if you guys want to move on to first day experiences, how would you see your first day as?
I feel like my first day was incredibly hectic. I think that day was the day I had the most classes, and it spanned from like 8:30 to like 5 p.m. So I spent the entire day just like searching where my classes are, trying to figure out how to get there faster next time. But I do want to say, I feel like first day is really, really important. Like, not just because you're making an impression on like the people around you, but if you try really hard, you could genuinely make really good relationships out of that. Like, one of my closest friends today, I'm rooming with her next year. I met her on the first day of school, like in class. It was like an 8:30 a.m. lecture class, and we happened to just sit together and we've been friends for over 2 years now. I know everyone's first day is gonna be different, but you just have to really put yourself out there and try talking to the people around you. Try talking to your professor or sit in the front. Try to just soak in how all the classes are gonna go for the rest of the semester, the rest of the year, and all of that. And really pay attention your first day. Like, you can skip lectures later, but like the first week, I feel like you should really just go in and don't skip lectures, but don't skip the first week. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
For
So for the first week, it was really fun. I made all of my friends in the first week. First week was amazing. First class, is engineering-based class. I made a whole group of friends. We're still friends to this day. They're amazing. But yeah, first day is an amazing, like, experience.
Alright. And coming back to orientation and first day, we have something called the orientation leader, so they're still available and this is something you have access to in your cohort or whatever group you make for orientation, and you have like a Slack or group me where you can communicate with them if you're like shy to go to someone on like an upper end. So you can go to the person, get all the, advice and suggestions to kind of explore the campus, classes or anything.
I also want to touch on a little bit about move-in if you are dorming. Usually for most schools, freshman move-in happens like a few days or up to a week before everyone else comes, and universities have planned out like a bunch of activities and a bunch of stuff for freshmen specifically to bond either with your resident hall, like everyone in your residence halls, to bond with people in your major and all of that. I personally had a lot of time to explore campus on my own. So me and my roommate literally spent an entire day just like going to all the buildings and checking out all our classes, and we were able to map out like where we needed to go. So if you are a freshman, doing that and taking advantage of that extra time is really important, and I think you'll be a lot more comfortable for your first day if you do that. Another thing, during that first week or like first few days when there's nobody else on campus except freshmen, it's a great way to make friends. And I would also suggest you go to all of the events that they have planned. I went to my first football game that weekend. I was never interested in football, but just being there with like all these freshmen, it was such a fun experience, you know?
Yeah, even as a commuter, I still went, and the week is called Welcome Week, right?
Yeah.
And so even as a commuter, I was able to go to every one of those events. And like she said, it made my, first day so much more comfortable. And like you meet people there too, and they're like, hey, like what's your major? What classes are in? Like I would love to see your schedule, and you can find people in your classes. And it was like it made everything so much easier.
Your college experience is literally going to start months before your actual first day of college. So you really just got to take advantage of that and get comfortable with it so that you're not too stressed out when classes actually start, because that's a whole different type of stress that you need to be prepared for. Okay, so just to wrap up, don't be nervous about your first day. Don't be nervous about moving or like commuting or anything. Take things day by day. Don't stress. You're getting a lot of independence. You're getting a lot of extra freedom that you didn't have in high school. Be responsible, you know.
Don't go, I mean, yeah, go crazy, but at the same time, just take it slow.
Yeah.
There's more to come.
Remember, everyone's in the same place as you are. Everyone's frightened. Everyone's nervous. Everyone's trying to make a new friend at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
So really just take a couple weeks, maybe the first semester, get used to your new schedule, get used to your new friends, your new living situation, and all of that.
All right. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Hope it helped. Hope this gives you somewhat of an, comfort. We'll be back with another episode really soon. So until then, stay tuned. Thank you.